two down back, the Gold Coast Suns, because they are kicking against the breeze. They've got a 7-man back line. I think what they'll try and do probably is free up maybe Jared Harbrow to be able to be that run and carry and type link player. But Hawthorn are manning them up, so they're going to go with a 7-man forward line. So
Nichols and Segler to start us off. A big wrestle from the big men in the middle. Boston got his hands on the footy first. Riscatelli just to dish off, and then away we go down towards the 50. It was a nice kick from Lonergan. Jack Martin over the footy. Did well, freed the hands. Ball out wide. Now Russell close to the line, gets it back. Didn't necessarily want it there, but did very well. And then the quick kick around the corner. It's out of bounds on the full from Kolajasny. So that breeze, that's going to be really interesting this afternoon. I guess keeping it low when kicking at goal is going to be ultra important, but just working it out in the first place is going to be the difficult assignment, I reckon.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that, and you're right. That left hand of screen, the ball will have to be kept low if you do get a shot at goal.
Duray, one of the ins this week for the Hawks. Terrific stuff from Lynch at halfback. What we've seen, Tim, though, at Launceston is not only a dominant Hawthorn, but regardless of the conditions, when it's been wet, they've thumped the Suns down here. They've beaten Fremantle in all sorts of conditions. They seemingly play this ground regardless of what the weather gods are throwing at them.
Yep. No, they've had time now to look at the nuances of the wind and the ground itself, so they do play particularly well.
Hill just contemplates. Stratton, Gibson, loose man, and then suddenly has some company. Boston was a tackler. Back to Hill. Mitchell always seems to make his decisions and remains unflustered. Well, Shields had it lost at Roughhead quickly. Suckling, a reprieve with a couple of laid outs and then a hurried ball forward.
I think it's really important in these windy conditions that you try and shut down those close targets and force the opposition side to kick the ball long, because then it becomes a little bit more difficult for them to retain possession.
So Nichols again working hard. Ball out the back. Hill gets on the end of it from Gunston. Now his handball, not a good one, up and down, and Boston's clearing kick towards the wing. This is interesting. The race is on, and in the end there'll be no race. The ball hits them all over the line.
Well, Jack Martin was on the ground briefly and suddenly in the hands of trainers.
Yeah, look, he's been off for about 30 seconds, getting tests from the physio, testing both hamstrings. It doesn't look too good. He's shaking his head, and the doctor's just come over, and I'll keep you updated, boys, because it doesn't look good for the young star.
Bruce, Todd, Mitchell, he's had an ankle injury, obviously, Welshie, the last few weeks. Boston again getting his hands on the footy a lot. This has been a good start from him, the young man, and then the ball kicked out sideways by Miller. The Hawks have got control of the football now. Gibson gets it from Frawley. Hodge calling his man in. No man there to arrive. Gathered by Sexton. Short little one. This is good. Miller, the layoff kick, and okay. And the mark is taken by Boston, who keeps running hard.
Well, it's good news there to get a shot on goal for the Gold Coast, but not good news for the bench. Martin has come off, and Matera is going to be coming on as the early sub.
So it sounds like it was right that your call there was a hamstring, so he's really only lasted not even 5 minutes in his first quarter.
You're right, Tim. He come off 50 seconds he was on the ground for, and obviously coming back from an injury, you are susceptible to some soft tissue injuries.
Oh, that's a terrible blow to the mill in this game.
He sure is. Andrew Boston, really good start to this game from the young man. He hasn't kicked a goal this season. His first game this season, his third disposal. Well, Tim, there's our first look at it. Well, didn't keep it low and didn't get a sider on it.
It is going to be an incredibly difficult shot at goal from that end of the ground.
It's not often you can hear the wind in your effects mic like you can this afternoon. So if you're at home and can hear that, you'll get a bit of a feel for the conditions. When we arrived this morning, it was sheet rain. It has stopped raining, but the breeze has continued, and Andrew Welsh has told you it will favour the teams kicking to the right of screen as you watch at home. So Adam Saad gets helped up. One of the really good stories of this year from Coburg. He's been terrific as a Gold Coast Sun this year. He's got so much dash from halfback. Just missed the one game with the hamstring and has been outstanding. Spoke to Ruffy before the game, and he was concerned that he may need still in these conditions to slip, slop, slap.
Well, he needs shade out there. That's who he needs. He needs to play under him.
Very clever. Hale reaching over the top down to Burgoyne, who thumps the footy towards the 50. Hasn't been in there a lot. And did that go out in the full? Yes, it did. Alistair Clark said last time we were here, round 15 last year, Hawthorn and the Gold Coast Suns, he wasn't coaching. On his way back. He's been in charge ever since. Now May, a long kick down the line, and good mark by the first gamer. That was a good grab by Keegan Brooksby, who handballs off. That was dangerous, but it's going to be okay, and the ball ends up with Sard, who comes sideways. Stanley worked the ball out. Lynch now, the pop over the top. Lonergan, dangerous one. It was pretty well done by Miller. He kept the ball in front of him. Hawks have got the numbers here. Shields at the back, good tackle. Mitchell under pressure, now Lake. Fend off Sexton. Through Geray's hands. That was good work. Hallahan, the little dish, the handball bouncing back towards goal, but in the end, the shot on goal didn't have the power from Riscatelli, and a behind only.
Their pressure on the ball and the ball carrier, though, has been really good in the early part of this game. I mean, the question now is, can they sustain that over 4 quarters of football? That's a big ask.
Burgoyne, to the man that will be keen to make amends for sitting out for 3 weeks. 2 losses in that time. Bouncing ball into the hands of Bruce. Quickly on to Hill. Well done to Segler, who continues to press on. Quickly over the top. Gunston goes low to Hale. So Bruce in game 100 involved in all of that. In game 6, he kicked 4 goals here against the Suns in the first time these two sides played, and he really arrived, and he's been so brilliant since then. Here's an opportunity for Hale to score for the first time this afternoon.
If he looks at those flags right now, they're not going to give him a lot of help.
Been subbed out the last couple of weeks, Hale. He's got a couple for the season. Well, he's hit it pretty well. The noise was strong behind the goals. He's measured things up. Well done, David Hale. First major of the afternoon.
Well, Basil, they obviously know the wind down here.
Well, that was perfect contact, wasn't it?
Forget about the flags. Just trust your instincts. Trust the history of playing down here. And just aim straight. And the rest will just look after itself.
Didn't worry about keeping it low either.
No, he didn't. No.
Just gave it a ride on the breeze and through it goes.
That was a precise ball movement then from the Hawks from that point kick in. That's what they do so well by foot.
Well, the big news down here is the injury to this young star, Jack Martin. There we see his first possession that he had in the first 50 seconds of the game. He came off, spent about 2 or 3 minutes with the physios. The doctor come over and gave him the nod that it's game over. We think it's a hamstring for young Jack Martin. So Matera's come on a sub. Probably a game and conditions that's going to suit the young speedster.
Really bad luck, isn't it? May on the end of this. Bruce got a hand on him, affected the kick, and Hartung just drops into the space and marks and will send Hawthorn back into attack. So less than a minute, really, Timmy, last.
Yeah, no, that's just an absolute disaster, given what already has taken place with the injuries to their midfield.
May got high. That was a really good spoil, knocking it down Sard's way, who swings out wide. So Matera, the beneficiary of that injury, and he's onto the ground very quickly as a result. And he finds Hallahan, the former Hawk. So 50 seconds he lasted out on the ground. Not a great afternoon at all, and Lake just peeling back, reading those conditions well. Now he'll open things up, I fancy, here. Frawley's on. And now Isaac Smith, who is herded up. That was well done. Good work by McKenzie if he could get him, but he couldn't. So Smith takes him on. Mitchell now with a bit of work to do. Isaac Smith, he gives and gets. Goes back looking for Mitchell. Not sure he's going to enjoy any of that. Litherland off the ground. Hartung trying to control the footy. And then a high tackle applied to Boston. A free kick in the middle of the ground.
Rockety to be wondering what he's done to deserve this injury list. I mean, it's extraordinary when you put it together, Tim. Ablett, Day, Garlett, now Martin again, O'Meara, Prestia, Swallow and Thompson.
I'll tell you the other thing, though, when somebody does a hamstring within the first 50 seconds of the game, you're actually looking at everybody in the organisation in terms of the conditioning of the players that go out there at the weekend too.
We think he's walked under a ladder on Friday the 13th after a black cat one in front and he'd smashed a mirror the day before. I mean, he's had a horrid run. So the challenge gets even steeper against this Hawks outfit. Hallahan against the old firm. Riscatelli, the skipper, one of 3 sons who hasn't missed this year. The other 2 a first year and a second year in Miller and Kolodjasny. Quickly to Matera. Started in the sub-vest. High ball. Should be easy pickings for this Hawks outfit. And Gibson, as he so often does, gets to the fall of the ball. Loose man and sets the Hawks up. Mitchell, looping ball over the top. Quickly. Shields over the top again to Smith. Miller quickly closes in.
That kick, that last kick inside their attacking 50, though, that's the one they're going to try and avoid when they're kicking to that end of the ground, the Gold Coast Suns, because there were 3-4 Hawk defenders actually back there just waiting for that kick to come in.
Nichols at ground level, clean enough, sweeps the handball quickly. Hallahan over the top. Riscatelli put his man under enormous pressure. Sexton quickly taken to ground, and the tackler knows how to tackle. Rioli, Puopolo, well, went searching for Bruce. Well done, May, in the end. His return game after the bump on Rockcliffe put him on the sidelines for 3 weeks. So Bennell, clean take with the one over the top to Miller. Gibson got there late, great closing speed, and his left fist again proving valuable.
He's just a young player, Miller, but what he's got to learn is he's got to actually accelerate to the ball. He actually slowed down thinking that he had that time to actually go to the ball, but he just didn't. Good defensive play by Gibson, but that's what you learn from a young player, or a young player learns.
Hartung, the lucky beneficiary of that ball thrown in. Now Harbrow under all sorts of pressure. Used Lynch. I don't think he wanted it coming back his way. And now Hartung goes to ground. Bruce. Handball into a dangerous position. Taken high. Shields. No free. Ball still alive. And the umpire will say, I'll have a go at it, with Lynch wrapping it up and making sure it wasn't coming out. So some pressure on here.
Just a good. She might have been a little bit high there with that first part of that tackle too. A little bit lucky to get away with that.
Yeah, they were lucky there. Hallahan on the end of it from Stanley. Kicks towards the wing. Matera now should be favoured in this situation against Frawley. Did well. He handballs up the line. Litherland first man there. But Matera the recovery. Now trying to get the ball underground to Miller. Not quite. It's going to come out the back here.
Good play.
Hill, that was good play. Matera kept running. Hard running from the young man. Gibson. Hands on the ball for Hill. Now back of the pack, Hartung, they work it out. Okay, Giray, back to Hartung. Boston, good tackle. They've coughed it up here. And now the quick ball in from McKenzie. Still alive. Sexton swung the right way. Russell for the first goal for the Suns. Great teamwork. They willed it across the line. They're in front.
That's a good call, Basil. That's exactly what they did. They went from contest to contest. It looked like Hawthorn were going to break and then rebound on them, but they just kept enough pressure on the Hawthorn player with the ball to eventually turn it over. And really, against this wind, you almost have to carry it to that part of the ground to make certain that you're going to be able to get a shot at goal that you're going to comfortably slot through. Exactly what they did. Well, it's just great play here from the Suns. The pressure in the forward line, they just kept pressuring the ball. In the end, they just got it free to a position on the ground where they're actually going to get an easy shot at goal.
So Luke Russell, the Tasmanian, third game of the year, spent a bit of time in the NEAFL, played in round 6, and also last week he's been ill in between all of that. So he'll be keen to make an impression on Rocket Eden. When Brandon Matera came onto the ground, Tim, I was saying so many of these players are at different stages of their career. He's been dropped to the NEAFL a couple of times, so many injuries. He's needing to make an impact and stay in this side.
Yeah, he does. He has to cement his place in the side, and he's a smart player, but he just has to do more while he's out there.
So Hartung under pressure, got the kick away. Lynch, well, just got knocked away and onto the ground in the end. Roughhead was the man that put Shade to ground.
One of the reasons why Lynch, he's been a bit of a stumbling block in the early part of this game. He's taken 3 marks already, so anything that's high and long, and he's got plenty of time to set himself for, he's shown really strong hands in the early part of this game, so they're just trying to knock him off and out of the contest on that occasion.
So Andrew Boston, terrific to Miller, loose man over the top, and they'll just work it into the hands of Lonergan. Now Dixon's one out with Lake, ignored for the moment, and suddenly things get a little more crowded. So thumping ball again. Dixon, who's been terrific in recent times. Ball goes to ground. Burgoyne just a little kick away. Smith, bit of support comes. Hill, clever. Now Hale outnumbered. Shade tried to provide a bit of support, but Rioli just lurked quickly, just like an eel, worked his way through quickly to Suckling, who was omitted and A late call-up with Schoenmakers and Lewis being the late outs. Bouncing ball for Gunston. He's got plenty of time on the outer side. Stanley will close. Gunston. He's got Stratton, and Lynch has Stratton for the moment, but the ball is kicked out of bounds on the full.
So, Tim, just going back to the Jack Martin hamstring, is it too simplistic to say he hadn't warmed up sufficiently?
Yeah, I think that's too simplistic to say it. But there'll be other factors, obviously, associated with it. But, gee, the last thing you want to see is a bloke lasting 50 seconds coming off injury because of another soft tissue injury.
Ooh. Dixon, the big fly. At the back, Duray, though, mopping up. Frawley, Suckling. Gunston out wide and reaching for the football. Gibson. Now Sexton trying to get close to him. Lake was just holding the ground. That was well done. Suckling into Dixon, and that ricochet over the line. Yeah, you just feel for Jack Martin. He's missed the last 3, as we said, with an ankle injury. Would have set himself hoping for something big.
And he's going to be if he gets a clear run at it, he is going to be a superstar of this competition.
He came with such enormous hype, and remember in his first game he did his shoulder and had to disappear, and
what we've seen,
the drawing board.
What we've seen so far is, though, he has the ability to be an elite midfielder in the competition for the next decade.
So just his 17th game in a tick over a season and a half, and it lasts less than a minute. Well done, Stanley. Waited a long time. Matera is working to space, ducking and weaving. Litherland is with him. Long ball over the top. Well, it's took Miller or bust here for the Suns, and well done, Miller. He had 3 to beat. Read it well. It may have been the breeze that held it up, and he did a good job.
2 against 3.
This is a great start now for the Gold Coast Suns.
They extend the lead. Clever stuff.
Matera the goal.
You're quite right, Hammer. That's exactly what he did. He actually kept his eyes on the ball, and I think anyone playing at that end of the ground now as a forward or as a defender must know that the ball is going to drop. It's holding up, and you've got to make sure that you keep your eye on the ball and you try and play in front or get to that front position as quickly as you can.
He started well, Matera, too, considering he had the vest on. 6 disposals and a goal now.
Just watch it again there. Lake behind. Lake just moves into the right position. There you go. That's a strong mark by a small forward.
So Nichols up again. Well done by Hallahan. He's getting a lot of the football. Rioli went to ground. Helped into the ground by Bennell. The footy will come up again.
The Gold Coast are doing a really good job of dictating Hawthorn's forward line. Lynch is playing as the 7th defender, and we've seen him intercept a few marks already. So they're just trying to round him up, and it's confusing and upsetting their structure.
Segler shark by Riscatelli, down long towards Dixon. He got one hand free, just couldn't quite control it. It ends up with Duray, the clearing kick out in the Rioli direction. He's got Russell to negotiate. And don't count him out of this contest yet. Isaac Smith up the line. Russell stayed on the football. That was clever. Here's Miller again. Handball backwards. That's okay. Lemons.
No, it's a bad kick.
Not a good one that time. And Duray just peeling off. Marks easily. Away we go to Hill.
Hill backs himself against Hallahan, who played 6 games with the Hawks. He plays his 6th game as a Sun already in his first year. They turn it over. Back into the hands of Lemons. Kolajasny. Sweeping ball. So Shade, who's been given some big assignments in the first part of his AFL career. Some big names to combat, and he's handled himself well. Quickly to Riscatelli. Well, Shields sort of just halts him for the moment, buys himself some time. Quickly late. Segler got a runner in Burgoyne. First things first, had to take the mark. Helped out in the end. Ricochet back into the hands. Frawley, 4th game as a Hawk. Peck issues. Well, Lynch was outdone by the bounce in the end, but had support.
I think Alan Cluxton will be really disappointed in the early part of this game too, how easy it's been for the Gold Coast Suns to switch the ball and use the fat side of the ground to run the ball up. When they're on Hawthorn, they just don't allow you those easy outs and switches.
Hale up in front did nicely. Bruised over the footy. The back heel by Tom Nichols.
Frawley's been in great form in recent weeks. Last week against Buddies, you'd expect him to start back. He's had to go up forward and pick up Lynch. So they've actually got what they want here, the Gold Coast, and clogging up the Hawks forward line.
Jared Harbrow, game 85 today on screen a moment ago. He's too clear. The most games played. Ball inside 50. There was an important fist in there from Lemons. Gee, he did well. He knew where the football was, and now Bruce gets a lucky free kick. Well, on first look, Tim, I reckon Russell's a tiny bit unlucky there.
It looked like he stumbled a bit, didn't it?
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much pressure at all was applied here. Oh, no.
First look, second look.
I think the umpire had a better view of it than you and I.
We were fooled by the Luke Russell complaints. There needn't have been, and that's a very clever kick from there. Bruce brings it around and kicks a goal.
It's a really soft goal, though, in the context of a game, to give a free kick away like that at that part of the ground. But I mean, clearly it was a free kick, and we know even though that bloke hasn't been kicking as accurately as he did last season, he's still a very good finisher.
We got Frawley is coming off here with the blood rule. He's got a cut above the left eye, Frawley, so he'll come and get that fixed up and be back on very soon, I'd say.
Here's clearly a free kick there, and Luke Bruce playing his 100th game. Hasn't lost on too many occasions. 79 wins in that 100 games.
Now that we look at it, you wonder what Luke Russell was complaining about, don't you?
So Bruce continues to kick goals. 30 in his debut year, 45 in 2012, 40 in 2013, 57-12 last year at 82%. Dixon, Lake, well, Dixon thought he had it, lost it. Lake thought he had it, lost it.
Frawley's just come off to the bench, guys. He got a knock above the left eye in that contest down there that caused that goal for Bruce. So he'll come off, getting it patched up now, as you can see on the screen, and he'll be back before you know it.
He's had his fair share of issues, Frawley. In game 2, he was subbed out, missed 4 with the peck, and third game back, 5th for the club this afternoon, and already in the hands of the men helping him out, running repairs. Burgoyne lost his way a little there. Lemons quickly to Sard. Well, it'll come back. Puopolo knew he could get around Nichols, stop, prop quickly. Hill, weighted ball over the top. Rioli might just flick it on. You could see what he was going to do early. He knew exactly what he wanted to do and find Ruffy. Didn't quite work out, but he sees things so clearly, Rioli. Segler, Hallahan drifts off and out the back. Stratton couldn't take it cleanly. Segler comes in. Hallahan, the tackler. Rioli read that. Yeah, about 20 metres before it hit his palm and just flicked it over to Ruffy. It didn't quite work perfectly, but the intention was spot on.
Great start by the Gold Coast Suns, though. This is terrific. Terrific for the afternoon and terrific for their own confidence.
Hallahan's been busy too. He's up to 9 disposals in this first quarter, more than any other player on the ground. Number 14 then, a former Hawk.
Boston had a really good start to the game as well. Nichols again just reaching over the top. Shields. Ball ends up with Mitchell. Got it from Litherland. He tried to go the spiral down the line. May read it well and maybe taken without the football. Harbrow running into trouble with Sard. He gets the free kick. Shade thought about going on. Sard in his 8th game of senior football. Wants to go to the outer side. So McKenzie now. This is where they do need to be careful. Over the top to Boston. So late in the term, less than 4 minutes to play. They've worked the ball to Bennell. Sexton the short kick. This is good control though. Not easy conditions to play this short chipping game.
And it's taking time off the clock too, which is a good thing when you're kicking against the wind.
Well done by the debutant. Terrific mark by Keegan Brooksby. The ball away. Hallahan, another disposal now inside 50. So Tommy Nichols in front of Stratton. Does he try and pick up? He does. Feeding the ball for Harbrow was the intention. Didn't get there. They've worked it well. Bruce across to the running Hill, and here they come.
Downtown, Frawley is the option. He's had some tape applied, but May's there first. Just saw Henry Shade coming to the bench. He's had a baptism of fire. Kennedy, Tommy Lynch, Travis Coke, Jesse White. He's been with Ruffy today. He's gone back out onto the ground. Now he's alongside Frawley. So the youngster from Sandy Bay, Tasmanian, he's had a big month of football to start his career. Mitchell got rid of it in the end. Harbrow was a tackler. Mitchell wanted to go back on with it with Harbrow. Burgoyne works his way through. Bruce beaten the ball by McKenzie. Kolajasny, short ball, neat and tidy. Boston, not 15, called to play on. Back to Kolajasny, works it onto the left boot. Nichols, tough environment for him to work in. Matera has it fed to him. Now a chance. Matera's normally pretty clever here. Duray, he was going to work back inside, was there at the right time. So all things considered, a really positive first term for the Suns. We've spoken about the injury list that is long, and it has been added to in this first term through Jack Martin going up off the ground in the first minute, but they lead for now, late in the first term, and Rocket, given what he's seen so far this year, would have to be pleased.
He'd be happy, and he would be happy with a tackle count too, because he talked about that pre-game, 18-12 their way, and they've matched Hawthorn in the contested possession, so I think that would have been part of their focus coming into this game. Average
Tackles 65-ish for a match. They're on target for 72 with time to go in the first.
So they're a point in front here. They have won one first quarter this season, round 3 against Geelong. Tom Nichols playing well, just tried to set it up high. Just the one hand. Dixon, now Hill. They've got the numbers, the Hawks, at the fall of the ball. Chasing Miller, clearing kick, rough head. Knew the danger, not long to play in the term. Got well up the ground to give the numbers. And now Isaac Smith, can he take it cleanly? It wasn't a mark, but he paddled in front of him. Terrific kick down the line, and Frawley. So now a chance for Gunston. One out in the square. Backing back. Does he mark? Was he pushed? Neither. And the clearing ball from Lynch. Big fly at the back. Sexton not quite. He was up a long time. Ball goes on meanwhile. Hill, short one. Puopolo gets it. Gets the handball away. Really good running now. That is excellent work. He's kicked his second, Isaac Smith. Was Bruce. Bruce with a goal. Oh, gee. Terrific work from Bruce. His recovery fantastic. Hawthorn lead by 5 points. Wasn't that something?
Was that a realistic or unrealistic attempt?
Well,
he almost got it. It has to be realistic, doesn't it?
It was almost.
He was up
absolutely brilliantly realistic.
There was a bit of handwork maybe in the back in attempting that, but gee, was expect a little bit of handwork there, but wow, is he up a long way? Unfortunately though, or fortunately for Hawthorn, they kept the ball alive here, not able to lock up. Puopolo's arms, gets the handball out, and another good finish by Bruce.
Nichols is
holding Gold Coast, just here. Liam, 1 metre back. Come back on. Stay out. Stay out there.
Well, Hallahan sweeps it wide. Chance for Riscatelli. Just a minute before quarter time. 3 lead changes. Hawks back in front after Bruce's second goal. Dixon the target. The old stager. Terrific from Lake. Well, Hodge had it a long time, but backed himself quickly to Burgoyne. Back to Hodge. Now to Rioli. A lot of space for Gunston to work the ball into. Hill's the obvious one on. Segler, short.
Hill's been really good. That's his 11th touch for the game. But what he's done a couple of times, he's broken the lines and gives him the ability to get it in 50 easier.
Well, Shade in front of Frawley did a good job. He's lean and he's wiry and he's learning his craft. A real suburban feel about it, Welshie, today. There's a lot of spare seats. The rain's coming in, big breeze, drums in the background, but it's an interesting game of footy.
Yeah, it is, and it's, as you said, the rain is starting to come down now, but it's got a great feel. I think that's what's great coming down to Tassie and Hawthorn, and also the Kangaroos coming down. You've got that real suburban feel, and that's what you love about footy.
And there is a lot of football on at the moment in Tasmania. We'll get to that later. Schoolboy footy, a lot in the local leagues, top of the table clashes. But right now, all eyes on this one. It is the Hawks who were accurate. Bruce kicked a couple. Hale got the first. Russell and Matera for the Suns. 3 straight plays, 2-1. Quarter time. Hawks by 5 points at Aurora on a Saturday afternoon.
All of a sudden, so we had a bit of sun poking out at the start of the match, but suddenly very dark, and it looks like the weather's on the way.
Yeah, certainly. It's the dark clouds have come in over quarter time there, and we've got a lot of rain. It's stopped just for now, but no doubt it's going to be off and on all day with some downpour.
The lights are on, start of the second term, and Tom Nichols, who's done really well, fought hard, knocks it out to Riscatelli. So again they come forward. Big fly was Dixon Lake. Read it well, back of the pack, but stripped of it. That was holding the ball. No free. Lucky there. And Stratton paddling the ball for the line.
He took the tackler on, didn't he? Or he appeared to take the tackler on.
I reckon that was holding the ball. They're very unlucky, the Gold Coast Suns, not to be having a shot on goal.
Opportunity, bang, yep. That should have been a free kick. And the Gold Coast Suns electing not to man up the 7th Hawk defender in this quarter. We saw in the opposite in the first quarter where there was a 7-man defence with the Suns, and Hawthorn actually sent one of their defenders forward to match them up. They didn't want to have that free player, but this quarter started with that free play for Hawthorn across half-back.
Quickly Riscatelli, high up and under, won't travel to 15. Nichols crashes back. Keegan Brooksby playing game one, knocks it on. Hale quickly to Mitchell. As always, seems to have more time than most. Adam Sard, terrific stuff. Normally running from half-back, they pressed all their players up into their forward half. Who can take the grab? Lynch, front spot, well done. So Tommy Lynch can try and wrestle the lead back for the Suns. 3 lead changes. They trailed by just 4. Early going second term.
Well, he took 3 marks at this end of the ground in the first quarter playing as a defender. You got a great pair of hands, Tommy Lynch. Just read that ball beautifully off the boot.
He took more marks, Tim, last year inside 50 than Buddy, Travis Cloak and Josh Kennedy. 4th in the AFL. So if you can start kicking straight and be allowed to stay inside 50, who knows what he's capable of. But when he kicks like that, probably just about anything. Well done. Suns back in front.
What an excellent kick that was. I mean, I guess that's the easier end to kick them at, Tim, from what we've seen. Hale's effort burst up from long range.
It seems to get a bit more protection than that right of screen. But that was a great mark there by Lynch. And as long as they can continue to keep the pressure on around the ball, I mean, the Gold Coast Suns are going to be in this game. It's when they drop that off that Hawthorn then will be able to use the ball at will. But at the moment, there's real pressure on them.
Name's favourite is Braveheart. They're being very brave at the moment, the Gold Coast Suns. Nichols, only the 4 disposals, but he's tackling like that. Terrific. He's been really impressive. So this will be his 5th possession. He's had 7 hitouts. He really has created a lot. Dishes off to Bennell. Another high one in. Lynch is there. Didn't get to him. Mopping up well. They worked it across to Hodge, Burgoyne, and now Hartung. All of that starting with Leatherland.
Frawley was good in that last contest too. He just took Lynch's body and just edged him under the ball. Nothing illegal about that. It was just smart play.
So down the line to Mitchell. He wanted to take the man on, waiting for the block. That was a terrific set play. Giray came in, knocked Bennell out of the way. Almost the mark at the back of the pack to Puopolo. Not quite. Out of the ball. Holding the ball. No doubt about it. Had it a long time, Lonergan, and tried to beat the man like we saw from Lake at the other end of the ground.
Just needed to explode there, Lonergan.
So Puopolo, a favourite across the league. Segler, May, did a good job of it, almost an overhead to the boundary line. They look, Tim, just with Stephen May back, a much more settled defensive unit. One player steps back in, knows his role, captains the back 6. Nichols knocks it down. Hartung knew where it was going. Harbrow, quick tackle, almost stolen by Rioli, given by Roughhead to Mitchell. Couple of Suns, and Sard's in the right spot, and this is what he does. Just backs himself. It's a Leo Barry-esque in a way. Just runs and works it out on the run. They might run into trouble here, the Suns. No, Lonergan back to Hallahan. Over the top, McKenzie. We know he's got that thumping left foot. Doesn't use it. Well, here's another chance for the Suns.
Look at the movement, though, Sard created then. Because he took off, it created movement for all the other Gold Coast Suns players. And then the Hawthorn defenders and other players around the ball then had to react. That's great play on his behalf, and they get this shot at goal.
So I think it was Lemons behind play that went down. So Lynch kicked the last for the Suns. Trying to get his second for the afternoon, and the Suns fourth to extend it to an 8-point lead. The last is shaped beautifully. He knows about the wind. Oh, he's doing it well. They all are at that end. Bruce got a couple. Lynch has got 2 as well. He started as such a lean, raw individual, Tom Lynch, and you can see his frame is starting to fill out. He's 199 centimetres and he's almost 100 kilos now. Injury ravaged in 2013. Didn't miss last year from a games perspective. Game 7 this year. He's still just 22. Suns by 8.
Here's that free kick that was paid. That was behind play there against Sam Mitchell downfield to Lynch. I love the way they just attacked the corridor then, though, the Gold Coast Suns, when they broke.
Brooksby now doing the ruck work against Segler. Brooksby did well, the mature age recruit. They've been pretty dominant out of the middle to start this term. And that time a careless free kick against Riscatelli. And Shields wanted to go straight away. Grabbed the footy in his hands. He kicks towards the 50. Rioli was the target. Mitchell thumping on. Segler now the ruckman down and getting dirty, but that was very well done by Lonergan towards Tommy Nichols. Another disposal. 8 points is their lead, biggest of the game. Lemons, another heavy one. Stanley, clever little kick towards Miller, just didn't quite get there. Lake gets it a second time. They fire the football out. Hawthorn trying to keep it going. Isaac Smith working hard with him was Boston. Ball still alive. Stanley, Nichols, Brooksby, can he pick it up? He does. Now Bennell playing really well, the Gold Coast Suns. That kick not ideal. Gibson, handball across for Suckling. Mitchell, they should be able to get out of danger now. Hartung across the top to Litherland.
A bounce and continues to back himself. Matera, he wasn't making any ground. Gunston on the end of it. Continues to just roll on back inside to Hartung. And might get slowed up here, although Suckling is on over the top, back onto the left boot as per usual, into the hands of Hale. Let it go. Shade quickly. Kolodjasny out of trouble. Well, Matera again just wishes he was a foot taller. Litherland happy to see it over.
So you might have been a little bit unlucky then, Hale, not to get a free kick for in the back. Just watching that again. Yeah, no, it looked like he made contact with his back in the act of spoiling.
So a windy, wet afternoon at Aurora Stadium. The Suns right now going well against this Hawks outfit, who have rebounded after a loss so brilliantly each time this year. Back inside, Hodge.
Play on.
Welcome addition to Giray, who was an emergency last week and one of the ins this week for the Hawks, to Hill. Boston will be the man that corrals him for the moment. Back onto the right boot to the top of the square. Hale has Shade to deal with. May gave support. Roughhead, normally pretty clever. Heap of Suns came at him, lost the football. Well done, Russell. Now to May and out of trouble. Matera, Litherland, a bit of a mismatch size-wise. Suns will be pleased again.
And they're getting enough tall timber back down there also to affect the spoils, the Gold Coast Suns, and then it's their ability to be able to mop up at ground level and turn that defence into attack. But in the early part of the second quarter, they've been good.
Nichols locked arms that time. Caught at the back. Ball was held a long time. Segler came again. Litherland. Handball is okay for Shields. And now Hill close to the boundary line when he kicks. Roughhead up one-handed. Hale grabs the footy. Lemons grabbed him. Ball kicked around the corner from Suckling. Bouncing ball. Through it goes.
That's what I was talking about. It's one thing to be able to defend the ball in the air, but then it's the next part of all that to be able to mop it up and defend it at ground level. The first time round, they were able to do that and clear the ball, but then it was just their inability to be able to lock down the players that were just waiting for that crumb to fall.
He was out of the team on
because of his kicking too. Here it is. I mean, they defend the high ball, but then Hale just gets his hands free, Suckling at ground level. And we know that he's a really clever player.
He just kicked that on his right boot.
Yes.
He's never used his right boot in his life. expecting the Haley's Comet to pop by this afternoon, or an eclipse, or the dodo bird, or something similar. Gunston, quickly, top of the square, dangerous territory, in dangerous hands.
And this is what great teams, and Hawthorn are a great team, is that when they have their 10 minutes and they get a momentum shift, they actually score against you. And that's what the Gold Coast Suns, to stay in this game, have got to maintain pressure around the ball so that they don't get that easy ball movement.
Well, Luke Bruce had a moment last Saturday night he would love to have been able to recall.
Do you know, this year, just looking at the stats from last year to this year, he's down 21% on his accuracy shooting for goals. So last year he was unbelievable, kicking at 82%. So far this year he's been going at 61%, Luke Bruce.
So May then with the breeze, we think, behind him. It's not always easy to work out here. It ends up in Segler's hands. Back to the Litherland. That's a high ball. It does hold up in the breeze. Hale in front. Terrific grab. Oh, in these conditions, that's an outstanding mark.
They're starting to get their hands on the ball in the air now, the Hawks. They do take more marks than any other team inside 50. So this is just their third mark inside 50. Hale second. So last with Bruce, they're starting to get their hands on it now. When they get that, they get more conversions, shots on goal.
And that was, you're quite right, Welshie, and that one was just a one-on-one contest. Other balls that have been high balls into the forward line have been sort of 3-on-4 or 4-on-4. On that occasion, they just couldn't get anyone else in there to affect the spoil.
Hale and Shade in that marking contest. A real matchup for Mother Nature. He kicks at his second. Nice work. The Hawks are back in front. I'll credit those hands. He was the taller man, obviously, in the contest, but boy, they're hard to mark. On a day when the breeze is so swirly like this, a little bit of dew on the ground and obviously on the footy as well as a result. And hands strong, arms extended, and then more importantly the follow through with the goal. So Hale's got a couple, Bruce a couple, and Suckling 5-1, 4-2. Hawks by 5 points.
Looking forward to that at half-time too, Basil.
Gary Ablett, wouldn't they love to have him out there today? 45 disposals on this ground the last time these two teams played.
Well, right now they've got 9 of their best 22 unable to wear the Suns jumper, but the Suns are doing a mighty job. 5 lead changes. That last goal to Hale puts the Hawks back in front as Hallahan runs into trouble. Smith did a good job. Suckling kicked a goal on his right boot moments ago. Bennell thumps the ball forward on his left. Safe hands.
Gee, that was great body work there by Lake, though. Nothing illegal about the way that he just got Dixon out of position. That was just fantastic. That was almost like the trademark mark from Brian Lake.
Years of experience going into that moment. Puopolo quickly. Smith, the running machine, might take on Harbrow. Here we go. Bruce bouncing ball. Oh, brilliant stuff from May, because if he didn't trap it like he did, it was through and it was all Hawks. Lynch back inside quickly to Bennell. And Bennell, well, misses the target and Russell slides, but it was May or goal.
That's great play, yeah. Came off his man, chanced his arm, just locked the ball, trapped the ball. Just those Puopolo tackles, though, when you're tackling, you've actually got to lock his arms. On 3 occasions already today, he's actually been able to get his arms free when the Gold Coast Suns players should have been able to apply a tackle that just locked him down.
Stanley on the bottom of that pack. Stratton did really nicely. Got it out to Brewster. Now a high ball towards Gunston and the 50, and then Collar Jasny with a little fist over the line and finds it. So Hawthorn by 5 points. Rocket Eade, he'll be wrapped though with the start from
he would. You know, he would have to be happy because of the instruction he gave his players and the fact that they've been able to follow those for, you know, the first quarter and a half has been impressive.
Isaac Smith with the ball inside 50. As we said at the start of the game, they've won their last 12 here at this ground, Hawthorn, and 19 of the last 20. So it really is the biggest home ground advantage in the AFL at the moment. Segler, that was a very clever hit out to Rioli, who ran into Nichols. Lemons as well, holding the ball.
Well, Mackenzie's ball is absolutely not as he would have liked. So the rain continues, and that almost sounds like hail. We're on, obviously, the camera side of the ground, and we're under a tin roof, which is making some noise. The spectators have braved the elements, but it has suddenly got remarkably unpleasant. That kick from Gunston got up in the air and almost started coming back towards him. Lynch, Suckling, back to Burgoyne, and again, this is remarkable, the breeze.
Off the ball, Shepherd.
Gold Coast.
That ball in the air is stopping and either dropping or coming back to the kicker.
Sam Mitchell's off the ground at the moment, but he's already up to 16 disposals.
Well, Boston Nichols. Well, that's heavy rain right now, and we can see it on our screens, but you're right in the thick of it.
Yeah, Hammer, it's quite heavy, mate. We've just pulled out the umbrellas coming through to see the radar here coming across the west, and I think it's going to be a lot wetter than this. We've had a look earlier, and it's going to be coming down pretty heavy for the rest of the game.
Tell Merv Ford next to you just to share a bit more of the umbrella.
I have to fight him for it, don't worry.
Burgoyne, he's a wily old fox, Merv. Well done in the end from Gibson. Over-committing was Took Miller. Stratton quickly. Rain subsiding just a little. Smith inside 50. Bounces quickly. Looks up. Well, I thought he might have gone for home because it's a tough assignment to mark in these conditions. He was within striking range. Unselfish. Minor score. Hawks by 6. Their biggest lead of the game this afternoon, which says a lot about the Gold Coast.
So May with the breeze behind him. He kicks well outside 50. Lynch, who's been terrific in the air, not quite that time. Who's Nichols? Riscatelli, bottom of the pack. Stanley. Harbrow. Again, well done by the Gold Coast Suns. Ball down the line. Frawley in front of Ben. All it was a brilliant pickup. And then to Stratton. His kick a bit of a wobbler towards midfield. They're away here now. McKenzie. He gets it over the top eventually. Uses Stanley. Back to McKenzie. It was Kolodashny who ran hard, but the kick not so good. And Blake just peeling off to mark over to Giray.
Sorry, Basil, that was a really disappointing kick then, because they had the numbers deep, but they had numbers short as well. They just had to think their way through that, and the worst position they had to find themselves in was just retaining possession of the ball.
Hartung. Long ball to the outer side, no clear winner. 17 marks to 5 in this term in favour of Hawthorn, so they're getting a lot of the football, but the Suns continue just to hang around on the scoreboard. They're making the Hawks earn their 13th win in a row, if it is to be that. Hale down in front. Sexton, well, just got boot to ball before it hit the ground. They've got the numbers. Mitchell wide as the rain continues to tumble down, but clean ball used from the Hawks.
Out here.
Well, Giray quickly. Frawley's got some runners. Saw that ball held up as well as it went in Frawley's direction. Last minute had to take a step forward quickly to Gibson from Lake. So rugged conditions for both sides. You feel that it is going to be a slog for the afternoon. Gunston just buried his head and worked on through. Sard ensures the ball is over.
Well, it will be. I think it will be a slug fest, but only if the Gold Coast Suns actually maintain that pressure around the ball. And I reckon there's been some signs in the second quarter where they've just released it a little bit.
Hale. Shields knocked off the football. Hale went again, maybe taken high. Riscatelli. That was a throw.
Great tackle, Sam Mitchell.
Mitchell, this will be disposal number 18. He wants to go, but he's not far enough back from the man on the mark. Well, in the end, it didn't matter because Riscatelli, I'm not sure what happened. He was like a stunned mullet just there. Rioli free, back to Shields, turns the ball around the body. Marking contest, it was well done by Lonergan. Now bursting through, Rioli nearly got him. It was a very good tackle. Sexton was slow to move the ball on. Giray, Harbrow brings him to ground. And up it'll come.
You said what happened to Riscatelli. It's such a set play now for the Hawks. Have a look what happens. So Hill just comes in, sidles along, gets in, blocks.
We saw that earlier in the quarter down in front of us here too. Almost identical play.
Along the boundary again. So we saw Collingwood do a lot of it when they were running out of defence, when Harry O and others would block. The Hawks have really embraced it, and it's creating space for the man with the ball as Hallahan gets taken over by a former teammate.
How legal is that, Tim? If the man is on the mark, can another player go and stand right alongside him?
I'm not sure exactly the definition or how far you have to be off that player.
Sorry to put you on the spot there, Hodge. Long one down towards full forward. Hale was beaten for at that time. Well done by Saad. He kept running forward, wins the free kick. Lonergan was there in support.
You see a bit of it in the basketball.
Yep.
Players are screening, and well, the Hawks have done it well this afternoon. And speaking of basketball, we're seeing Keegan Brooksby for the first time. He was offered a couple of basketball scholarships and ignored them to continue to play. Best and fairest in South Australia for South Adelaide in the SANFL. Is the ball not able to be controlled on that occasion. Clean from Boston, got tackled by Hawthorn.
Basil, it'll have to be something that is looked at, because we've seen it 3 or 4 times in this game already, and it gives the kicker an extra half a metre of width, and that's all you need with these guys' skills these days, that extra half a metre that can get it in, especially going kicks inside 50. It's very dangerous.
Hill's getting a lot of the footy, drives it forward again. Puopolo read that brilliantly, now into the path of Rioli. Lonergan, a legal tackle once, twice, no free, and the ball off the deck, and luckily falls into the arms of Saad. That was really good work. They moved the ball forward. Now Russell on the end of it from Hallahan, kept the ball moving forward. Litherland did brilliantly. Got his boot to ball. Hill just keeps getting the football. Mitchell ditto, and that's clever from Hartung. Finds his man bruised. Handball now for Puopolo, who slips over right on the 50. Hartung kept coming and then taken high.
On tackle, Hawthorn.
Well, you heard the umpire, and Billy does. Again, big pack forms. Well done. Brooksby at the back. Hallahan, hurried ball, works out well. Bennell. It's become wet weather football now. Off the ground, socking the ball. We saw Sammy Mitchell slap the ball wide. Any way you can move the ball on at the moment is a good way. Hallahan had to stretch, was clean, did well. Didn't have a lot of time. Frawley drifts in. And Boston beaten to the ball, wide to Hartung, who is doing some miles this afternoon.
Having trouble getting the ball over halfway now, the Gold Coast Suns. All their numbers are down in their defensive part of their ground. They're not able to run the ball, and just kicking it back and turning it over to the Hawks, who are now really setting themselves up well across half back and across the wings as well. This is what they like to do with Isaac Bruce, get him to that part of the ground, get a small kick, see if he can follow up again, run, carry the ball. Hill is the other player that they like to play that type of role. Hawthorn. They're really their 2 designated running, carrying type players. With great leg speed, the pair of them, and great endurance as well.
Lemons, Puopolo the tackler, dropped the ball, got the kick away. Bruce had it, lost it. Riscatelli did enough, but only as far as Mitchell feeds it wide. Here's Hill. Long ball inside 50. Cyril's at the full of the ball. Ruffy will try and bring it down out the back. Bennell gets there first, waits it over the top. Saad. Well, it wasn't perfect, so he had to wait himself. Back to Isaac Smith. Hartung negotiates through McKenzie. Bruce looking for a third. Well, quickly Stanley was collected. Lonergan's under pressure. Saad feeds it back again. Harley Bennell. Enough of this, he says, but it's going to come back. It's all Hawks.
So Duray then camped under the football for a long time. Mitchell just had it knocked away. That was really well done by Saad. He got Miller, in fact, he got an important touch in there and just got it out of the way. Sammy complaining. Hale did well. Suckling Rioli. That was brilliant work by the Hawks. And now Roughhead. He puts it onto the left boot, trying to bring it back. Not quite enough. Just offline. And that, Tim, I think explains perfectly what you mean by their explosive football. How just give them 30 seconds of time in the sun,
that's right,
they can destroy you.
These conditions are probably conspiring against them a bit, and I think it might be helping the Gold Coast Suns at the moment in terms of being able to reduce their scoring.
The last 5 scores of the afternoon to the Hawks, 2 goals, 3, and Puopolo might set up a 6th opportunity. Suckling, a prodigious kick of the football. He'll be, even with the breeze,
Yeah, Hamid, before the game, I was actually watching him kick from a little bit closer than here. The wind's probably picked up a little bit more than it did then, but he was falling about 10 metres short, so it's going to take his very best kick, that's for sure. He'll have to go right out to that left point post.
You have a look at the Carlton draft flags. They're giving him a good sider, and that unusual style. He shaped it. It doesn't quite get the journey. Nick was on the last line, but he went at 45. The ball went to the point post and almost ended up too far to the right.
He's got some sharp wheels too, hasn't he, Suckling?
Yeah, brand new.
Sure. Score review. Umpire's call is a behind. Please check that it hit the post.
Review underway.
You're our review specialist, Baz. What are you saying?
Thanks, Hal.
Hard to tell on that one, isn't it? Might be a mark. His hands are behind the foot. It's what happens after that.
I reckon you'll get an inconclusive,
I'll get him back.
which means it's hit the post, doesn't it?
If he's called it a poster or a point.
So if it didn't...
I've got a feeling this might be a mark for Tom Nichols.
Sammy, so the mark was controlled.
You've got a nose for these things.
It's taken a long time.
And this is where the criticism of the review comes in, doesn't it? I mean, it's a behind.
If you're going to keep watching it over and over again, you just got to say it's not conclusive.
So it's a mark. A mark here to goal post.
Well,
Wasn't the umpire's call a point?
Yeah, well, that's what I thought. The goal umpire's call was a point.
It didn't hit the post, so it's a mark. Mark? Oh, yeah. Yes.
It goes back to
so
the umpire's
here,
call.
And it's 5 metres from here.
That's right. Now, the umpire called a point.
I thought the umpire
he's
called
okay
a point
then.
too. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm with you.
Just come through the goals.
I think it's
Come
Chelsea
through the
too.
goals. Thank you.
Chelsea's
Cyril,
really
go
wrong.
for it.
Okay, so all of that results in a mark for Tom Nichols. Well, he'll take the extra stat. Why not? Up to 10 disposals now. As a result, Stratton just forcing the ball forward. And Hodge with a free kick. I missed him the last 3 weeks out with suspension. Quickly on to Hale, who spent it before he had it. Not that he was really going to spend it. He should have gone back and had a shot. Didn't mark it, as it turns out. The ball from Stanley across to Sard, long down the line. Frawley in best position. The ball hit the deck and ran a little. Suckling prepared to concede ground back to Litherland, who wants to go, gets around Miller, does he? Well, he wrong-footed him, never quite got around him. Burgoyne's kick out wide, and Hodge just helps it over the line. So all of that a touch anticlimactic, wasn't it? Not the best minute or so of the game.
With those inside 50s for this quarter, a lot of those have been repeat entries, 20-9, just for their 2 goals at the other end of the ground. Just the 9 inside 50s for the Gold Coast Suns. They've scored 2 goals as well. So a lot of activity at that end of the ground, but they haven't been able to convert.
Now, Tim, I've got a theory on the man coming in to stand on the mark. If the umpire calls play on, you can be standing anywhere on the ground, correct?
Yes.
So I think what the Hawks are sweating on is the umpire calling play on. And then as soon as that play on call is in effect, it doesn't matter where the opposition player is.
So there's no exclusion zone around the man on the mark.
Half-time we'll have a good look at it, huh? But it's a clever tactic, and if that is indeed what the Hawks are doing, it's another example of their coaching staff, led obviously by Alistair Clarkson, trying to be in front of the curve again. Now, how long it stays in vogue or how long it is allowed to be in vogue is another question, but you'd have to say it's clever use of the rules.
Kick, Sam Mitchell. Block the ground. Sam Mitchell. Yeah, I got it. You go.
Just trying to take Sam Mitchell out of the game. This will be his 20th disposal in the first half, so he's been busier disposal-wise than any other player on the ground. Great mark by Gunston.
Quickly over the top, sees the runners. Ruffy, he'll get there first. He's got the legs, he's got time. Off the ground, he'll pick it up. You choose. Ruffy does and gets collared.
Great chase by Harbrow.
He just didn't get a favourable bounce, so did he in the end? Look at, ever so close.
It was like when the puppy's running away from you. Think you've got it, runs away again. Not quite sitting for you. In the end, minus score. So 5 lead changes this afternoon. The Hawks, for the second time, get out to an 8-point lead.
It's the one you show the juniors, though, that, isn't it? You'd think it's given up. Could easily be given away. Not this one. Gunston closing, kicking and goaling. He's got his first.
And the Hawks have kicked the last 3. So Suckling, Hale and now Gunston. And it's a game-high lead of 14 points late in the second term.
It's this red time, Tim, that you've talked about, where the pressure needed to stay up. Shields, beautiful handball. Gunston, such a good finisher.
Good play by Shields. That's a nice handball. Gunston's been really good in this quarter. His work in the front half, Rodney, not happy with a late goal to Hawthorn. I mean, they have been good in terms of being able to hold Hawthorn from scoring, but they've had their opportunities this quarter, Hawthorn, and it has been difficult at that end of the ground with the rain and also the wind. Oh, that's got to hurt.
Gold Coast. Gold Coast, push. Just here, Ruffman.
Ruffy's just pushed down too as the 7th defender for this last 40-second.
Nichols was lucky there, Hame. He didn't do some serious damage.
And there on cue is the man Andrew Welsh was talking about, picking up at half-back and thumping it wide, but the Suns will get the ball back here. So they've got time for one last roll of the dice. Hawks have kicked 5 of the last 7 goals, out to 14 points. 5 lead changes as Lonigan sends the ball long, hoping for Tall Timber to do the rest. Dixon not able to get a good run of it.
Gee, Nichols got up a lot quicker than I thought he was going to get up to. That looked like a serious crash to the ground then, just straight on his back, but up and okay.
Ruffy, 7 goals, 3 last time we played here, Hame, too. Let's have another look at it. Oh. Very lucky that not more serious damage done. Hallahan, he would have loved a goal against his own team. Old team, Lonigan in there again, fighting hard. The ball will come up with 4 seconds remaining, so everything will need to go according to plan here.
Look at Luke Hodge there, just directing everybody.
And Bruce gets the ball into his hands to make sure it doesn't crash out. It was the Hawks by 5 points at quarter time, and they've extended their lead now. 14 points at the half. Gold Coast Suns coming with plenty of fight today. But the class of the Hawks on top for the moment, 6-4, 4-2 on a Saturday afternoon. Well, you'd hope it wouldn't. Daniel Howe, we saw a shot of just a moment ago. He's got the vest on and the blanket on. It is very cool. And he'll get his first opportunity at AFL level sometime in this half. So it's the Hawks by 14 points. Gold Coast, it's been an admirable effort from them so far, and that man has been terrific there. Ruckman, Nichols, he won the ball down to Hallahan, who just couldn't quite get the kick away, and Hawthorn, Mitchell burrowing in hard. Rioli did brilliantly and got a quick kick away. Gunston just fell over at the crucial moment. He got it to Roughhead somehow, and then Shields kept coming, and that is some sort of start to the second half.
He worked hard then, Gunston, to get off his play. I was just watching at that centre bounce. He actually started ahead of Roughhead. He took off, ran back towards the goal around Roughhead to try and lose his opponent should they get a quick break. Then found space again, was able to contribute in that passage forward. And I think this first 10 minutes will tell us a lot about the Gold Coast Suns this afternoon. I mean, if they're not competitive in this first 10 minutes, they could really get blown away here. Just watching the construction of that goal again, just good body work by Gunston. He was really good in the first half as well. Just releasing Roughhead and then a good follow-up by Shields.
So Liam Shields, just his 2nd goal of the year, his first for the afternoon. Game-high lead of 20 points, and that took just 25 seconds to start the second half for the major for the Hawks.
Lynch has gone behind play again like he did in the first quarter, so he'll play that spare player across half-back. We know he's good when the ball's in the air, probably not as effective when the ball's on the ground.
So Daniel Howe, you saw moments ago sitting on the bench. He's the sub for the Hawks, itching to get on. The 19-year-old went 31 in the 2014 draft behind David Hale. Was told by a couple of players sort of in the Stratton mould, a mobile defender who potentially might play midfield later. Suckling, no one at home, so it's got to go the journey. It won't. So Lynch, he's kicked a couple for the Suns at this end of the ground that he is at now. The last term, the first 2 goals of the second term before the last 3 of the second term went to the Hawks. The first of this 3rd to Hawthorn. So now it's 6 of the last 8 to Hawthorn and the last 4 of the match.
Segler and Nichols to do the ruck work. Nichols again with strength towards Riscatelli. Didn't quite get there. Puopolo Hallahan again over the footage. Tried hard today against his old team.
McKenzie looks to be running now with Sam Mitchell. Sam Mitchell is up to 24 touches, so we'll just keep an eye on him and just see whether or not he does actually reduce his effectiveness.
Umpire Hay throwing the footy up, rough head.
Gold Coast.
So a throw against Ruffy, the umpire said. And Riscatelli with the free kick. McKenzie now plays on. Thumping kick down towards the 50. Dixon searching for that first touch. He has touched the footy but hasn't had a possession. You get the difference, of course. And Gibson slow to get rid of it. Stanley got him from behind. And again, the Gold Coast Suns doing the hard things well. So he'll set it up high. The first gamer was the target, Brooksby. It was a hard one to mark. Suckling wasn't too sure what to do with that. Hodge freed the arms. He got it across the lake and the clearing kick out. Nicely done. And the ball marked by Shields.
Hill quickly back to Shields. The last goal of the game, the first of the third for the Hawks. But almost a chance for Bruce. Saad did enough. Second effort was terrific.
Lynch is doing really well again what he did in that first quarter. He's the only player on the ground that spent his whole time in the half of ground on the right-hand side of the screen. So he's dropping back and sitting in front of Jared Ruffhead. He's going to make it hard because he's a really smart reader of the play.
Segler won the tap. No clear possession, though, for the Hawks. It's been a good story, Jonathan Segler. It was almost a fairy tale last year, but he missed the big dance. He will be keen to be a part of the finals campaign and really cap off a career that looked limited after his time at Collingwood was so fruitless. Bruce, brilliant. Rioli, almost as clever. Well, Gunston was clever. Rioli back inside. Hodge, he'll finish. The skipper, welcome back. When they move the ball quickly and when they're at their best, it's hard to think of a side that does it better. It is fast and quick and clinical, and the run is immense. And Clarko, having a look at the screen, will be pleased for the match, for the quarter in the last 10 minutes. What he would like to be seeing is green, and for the match there is a lot of green. Game high, 26 points.
Well, there's a punch, but in the end it was an attacking punch. I mean, he would have been better off just trying to actually grab control of the ball because Hawthorn had all their momentum heading that way towards goal. And as Hannah said, it was just a clinical finish in the end.
Segler reaching over the top of Nichols, this time pushed off the footy maybe a little too easily. Was Boston. Started the game really well. Boston in there again. Gibson, Mitchell ran into Hallahan. So dishes backwards to Duray, and then the ball towards half forward. Running hard, Lemons, and the ball over the line again towards the attacking zone for the Hawks. What about their season, the Hawks? Tim, I mean, 4-4. We know they've been good and not so good. That's catch-up footy for most of the season for the top two, though, for them now, isn't it?
It is, and look, I think what we've seen so far this year, though, their best is still the equal of any other side. The competition's best.
Lake gets the ball in the middle of the ground from Frawley. Now this is a high one, popped up for Hartung. Difficult. Russell did pretty well, and Dixon with a disposal. Did they give him that one? They should have. Hallahan just grubbers the ball towards half forward. Lake stands up in the road. Some heavy pressure from Dixon again. He's been given a bit of a rocket, and Hartung just knocked off the footy.
There's different 4-4s out there. I mean, their season says 4-4, but their best has been brutal.
Yep.
And so breathtaking, and they've thumped sides, and their losses average of 6 points to very good sides generally. Essendon playing out of their skin, put Adelaide at home, who was so brilliant that first term, Sydney last week, and the GWS who played, you know, as they've been playing.
I guess the thing for them is they want to finish top four, obviously, but they may well have to go to Perth or to Sydney in the first week of the finals, which won't necessarily bother them.
Mine.
No, but they want to be in great shape. I mean, we're all already talking about the business end of the season, but you want to be in great shape. You want to be able to have rested some of your more senior players throughout the course of the year. You don't want them having a really tough campaign before the most important month of the year.
Well, Hodge and Lewis have had their rests, Tim.
Yep.
We saw Jordan Lewis today at the hotel while we were waiting. He said sometimes a rest, as embarrassing as it is and he was ill-disciplined, can really do the body some good. Smith wants Ruffy, and older bodies, and Hodges had 3 and Louis had a couple. A mid-season break. They lost 2 games while Hodgie was away. They're in good shape this afternoon. They'll get their season back to 5 and 4 if they're able to close out this match. But the Suns have got plenty of time to make that a troubling task.
The bad injury news for Jack Martin unfortunately continues. It's been confirmed that was a hamstring injury he suffered there in the first 50 seconds of the game. So you'd expect him to miss 3 or 4 weeks. So it's not another great story to come out for the Gold Coast, because we're all really excited to see him get a good run at AFL footy.
I think he's missed, off the top of my head, 13 of a possible 30 matches. So it has been sparing his time in the Suns jumper. Ball squeezes out the back to Giray. Little flick in the end. Litherland went wide to Frawley. Dixon, who's had a tough afternoon, almost a trip of Frawley. That's what the crowd was crying on the hill. Still, it's Charlie Dixon searching to have an impact. He's had just the one handball for this afternoon, and Jack Martin at the back, covered up, hood on. Puopolo, Sard, 2 that have been great for their clubs. Puopolo coming over from South Australia and being brilliant, and Adam Sard from Coburg. There's Jack.
Just had time to get the diamond stud back.
I was going to say that too. Timmy's had a share at half time and put the diamond back in the ear, and he's good to go for the second half.
All the important things.
No mucking around. Nichols again up strongly in front. Hallahan has tried hard. He's going to be the last man up. Mitch Hallahan, game 6 for the Gold Coast Suns today, 6 for Hawthorn last year. He made his debut in round 5 against Geelong, played the last of them in round 11 against GWS, a 3-3 record when playing with the Hawks. He's got a 0-5 record as a Sun. Isaac Smith thumps the ball long again towards the 50 and almost inside shade, just hurting the ball up, keeping an eye on it, watching it roll over the line.
Tim, you'd have to think the Gold Coast would be happy to see their Jordan Lewis looking on, obviously the late out before the game, but you'd think the Gold Coast would have to be happy with this scrappy start to the third quarter. It's real dangerous. The Hawks could have come out, they kicked a couple, but they've been able to stem that flow and get it back onto neutral terms.
The Boston's kick towards the middle of the ground. Giray did really well. Bottom of that pack. Tira trying to get the ball out. Dixon for his second disposal. Well, I think we have to give him that one. He got it to Stanley somehow. Boston again over the football. Dixon comes through hard. Sexton finds the football and then kicks inside 50. Frawley, Mitchell, they're the only ones back inside there, and they are Hawthorn players. Litherland can draw the man to Hill. He just tries to reach over the top. It had too much on it. Kolodashny did well. Now Hallahan's handball forward. Sexton. No. And again, he didn't look. Lake is going to be favoured by this one.
Well, so much hard work, and then they just give the ball back. Lake searches for Smith. Clever handball in the end, and they've got the numbers and the overlap and the loose man, and Smith thumps the ball to the wing. Bruce, Puopolo just traps. Sard really got the benefit of that work. Bennell back to Sard. Closer is Puopolo. Quickly to Kolodashny. Hale, the big man, the tackler. Well done. The pressure continues from Hawthorn. Mitchell, who has blood streaming from his nose, has for a while now. Umpire hasn't seen it. Suckling. Burgoyne over the top. Chance for Shields. Another loose man running wide. Suckling on his wrong side. He'll, well, I think, use the right boot for the second time in his life. Uses his left and uses it poorly. That
was a great kick then from Burgoyne coming out of the centre, though, because what it did, it actually drew Lynch up the ground, who was playing at the spare. So he had to come up, and then beyond him, they had equal numbers, Hawthorn.
We see here Mitchell, as you called, he has been running around for a couple of minutes now with blood coming out of the nose, so he'll come out, as we saw Frawley get fixed up pretty quickly. Doesn't look too bad there, Sammy Mitchell. Get a couple of plugs in the nose, a bandage around it, and he'll be back out there, no doubt.
6 touches this quarter, 28 disposals for the game. He's been quite superb, hasn't he? What a leader he is.
He is, and he's one of those great distributors. And you know, you look to players who play well in big games, last Saturday night against the Sydney Swans, I mean, he was just outstanding. They could not control him.
Joins Gary Ayres and Jason Dunstall on 269 games today and equals 7th position games played for the Hawks. 12 premierships between them.
And no one wanted him at the start of his career.
Ayres, Dunstall and Mitchell, 3 of the all-time greats for the Hawks. Hawthorn, well done. Back to Frawley. Now this will be an interesting one. Hales in there, got his arms free at the last moment, just couldn't quite get them around the ball. And up it will come again. Yeah, they are decent players, aren't they? All on equal 7th position for this week anyway. Ayres, Dunstall and Mitchell. 5, 4 and 3 premierships.
Bennell, big tap, Sard. Well, it might come back. There's 3 Hawks and just the debutant in Brooksby. Harton, back to Smith. Still they have the numbers. Litherland thumps the ball. Well, Frawley's happy just to watch this one unfold. Puopolo almost brought it in with the one hand. Tackler in the end was Boston. Slap from Kolajasny. Long ball from May. Now Dixon, again, around the mark, but not marking.
The last 2 kicks out of the defence have just been around the corner, get the ball out of here type kicks. They've just got to show a little bit more composure and try and work it out of there if they can, the Gold Coast Suns. They've got the numbers back there. It's just going to keep coming back at them if they kick indiscriminately like those last 2.
Well, Duray to Gibson to Gunston.
Oh, there. That's it.
And when the Hawks have the ball, they move it cleanly with such great process.
And both those kicks, Hammer, really they weren't real pressure kicks, but it was just, OK, I'm going to get the ball onto my boot. I'm going to kick it blind around the corner. I just want the ball out of my area. And that wall of players was set up there by Hawthorn.
Kickable here. Yeah.
Get a bit of protection. Aim it slightly to the left post.
Play on.
Well, he's shaped that unbelievably well. Has it gone all the way? He's a marvel. He's read it spectacularly. Wonderful goal.
He really set it out to the right, didn't he?
So he's read that because he would have seen Lynch shape the ball like that the first 2 times. A forward knows a forward and can see things early. And on both occasions, Lynch was in a similar spot when he kicked out there. That was a terrific shape of the ball. He knew exactly what he was doing.
Coming into this game, he kicked 17 goals, 12. He's down on his accuracy by about 10% from last year as well. This is a wonderful kick in these conditions. Just hung the ball out to the right. It just came back just ever so slightly, and really pleased with the finish, Jack Gunston.
The last 10 scores of the game to Hawthorn, as you can see, 6 goals for the last 6 goals of the game and 3 to start this term. Up in front, not quite the mark, Lynch. Seeing him at both ends. Riscatelli, well done. Kolajasny, and then Lemons taken into the ground by Rioli. Shields just pops it over the top, and Gunston, well, we know what he can do from long range out there. I reckon he'll be not quite as confident, but he can kick this.
The breeze helps him from there. It shapes like the last.
Yeah, it's actually the perfect position if you're having a shot on goal today for where you'd want to be. So he's going for the snap, and you've got the protection, obviously, from the grandstand behind him.
So he's kicked 2 already this afternoon. This for 3 and 7 in a row. Gee, it almost got underground. A little bounce.
Skidded through.
Quite. Nichols just with a touch on it onto the post. So a blemish, 33 behinds. That's Hawthorn's first behind of this 3rd term.
Frawley, Brooksby in front, knocking it down. Gibson went searching for Frawley again. Mateer at the fall of the ball. Stratton. Called a throw, was it, in there?
Yes.
So if you've just joined us, Daniel Howe, the sub, continues to watch on in his debut afternoon. Brooksby, a debutant for the Suns.
Hawthorn. Early goal.
For the last 6 goals of the afternoon to Hawthorn, this to make it 7.
They've been on their game too, Hawthorn. Their disposal efficiency in this quarter is at 73%. And then the pressure they're applying to the Gold Coast, they're just operating at 50%. You see that free kick there, just a hold there by Lonergan.
So Rioli hasn't scored at all this afternoon. His 10th possession. No problems for Cyril. So out to 39. They continue to make it every time they score. Game high, game high. What a Saturday night he had against the Swans. perhaps a bad moment to finish, but so much brilliance littered throughout the evening.
He was unbelievable last Saturday night. And look, I reckon there was a little bit of tiredness in that last one that he missed, but there was one crumb that he gathered in that game that I don't think any other player in the AFL would have been able to gather. Happy with his effort.
So the Hawks now out to a 39-point lead. Brooksby, well done, but sharked by Hodge off the back of the line. Gibson's thumping ball inside 50. Oh, that's a terrific mark by Lynch. Well done. Got his hands wrapped around it quickly and then handball to Kolodashny. Hawthorn read it well. So it's coming back inside. So Gold Coast, after a terrific first half, Tim, we know they're under pressure here in this third term. It could be a really brutal finish to the game. Dixon, speaking of brutal, high tackle. Giray goes short. Not quite for Dunstan, but he paddles it out. Isaac Smith. Here's Hill now. Running around and clever to Burgoyne. Terrific.
I reckon Charlie Dixon's been given one of those halftime speeches by the coach, and I don't care what you do, Charlie, just make an impact in the second half.
A rocket from Rocket, no doubt about that. Hill to Burgoyne, clever. He needs 3 more finals, Sean Burgoyne, to join Michael Tuck on 39 and Gordon Coventry 31 as the only players to play 30-plus VFL AFL finals. Now, the Hawks and Burgoyne have played 3 finals the last 4 years in a row. So all going to plan, and if this season mirrors the previous, he'll be a 30-plus finals player. His first goal of the afternoon.
What a career he's had. Like, he was one of the best midfielders for the Port Adelaide side, then came across here. He's been a massive contributor to Hawthorn, and he still gets a job in games when things are really tight. Al Clarkson's always trying to shift him into the action somewhere because he makes a difference in big games. He has not lost any of his explosiveness.
You talked to him about Surioli having that magic moment and that take last week, that moment with Burgoyne running late through heavy traffic, so much going on, needing to score, delivering the ball perfectly. He's so calm in a crisis. So right now it is the Hawks doing as they please. The last 13 scoring shots of the afternoon, 8 goals, 5 since the Suns have scored. Miller wanted Matera, couldn't find him. Matera gets the ball in, gives it back to Riscatelli. He was under immense pressure himself, suckling a little fumble, and then a desperate tackle. The Hawks look hungry for the football. Miller, Segler trying to clear. Ricocheted ball, Puopolo, hard-ridden in the end. Harbrow was the jockey. Lemons, the outer side. Now Burgoyne needs a kind bounce. Clever. Mitchell over the top. Hartung has Puopolo, happy to slap it forward again. They're all re-oling the ball. Hill quickly now to dangerous territory. Who's there to fly? Gunston almost. Smith at the fall of the ball. There's like the Harlem Globetrotters at the moment. First goal of the afternoon. They've scored 9-5 since the Suns have registered anything.
You go all the way back to about almost centre-half back then with that play where the Gold Coast Suns looked like they were going to actually move the ball forward. They had a bit of a break, but it was just that pressure. And that's when Hawthorn are at their absolute best. Everyone talks about how clinical they are and smooth they are with the ball. When they're on, though, the pressure that they apply to the opposition around the ball and force a turnover, they're still the #1 side in the competition for being able to do that.
The pressure they apply to the opposition and the pleasure they must apply to the fans watching. When they're on, they are white hot.
Look at that, the last 10 goals, Baz.
Absolutely dominant, aren't they? Brooksby now, the 25-year-old from South Adelaide, in the ruck again. His dad, champion player with South Adelaide, played 278 games in the SANFL, and he will be delighted to see his son get his first opportunity at senior level. Stanley's kick, it was just a kick and hope, and Segler, well done.
I reckon we've seen 5 kicks like that from Gold Coast players in his third term alone.
Segler, not his best effort, and Stanley, well, making amends.
Yeah, they just look spent at the moment, the Gold Coast. It was another kick there, almost a turnover. Great intercept there from Suckling, but they're 2 or 3 metres off their opponent. Now that first half, they were right with them. They were pressuring, they were tackling. Obviously with Martin going down early and the cold, wet conditions is starting to take their toll. We see there a couple of skill mistakes, but also they're not right with their opponents as they were in that first half.
Well, quickly to Gunston. Deft give to Mitchell. Back it goes to Suckling. He's on the right side for him. Segler. Well, Shade got desperate. Rioli. We know what he can do in these type of scenarios. Under he goes quickly. He goes. No, no, no. No. Almost, but not quite. Bruce. Back it comes. Piopolo Hill. Dancing, weaving. Back himself. Confident now, the Hawks. Burgoyne. Again. The Suns have to wait. And they worry. They're anxious times. Boston. Dixon. Rare sighting of Dixon. But it's not as he would have liked. Just to highlight, Tim, how quickly the Hawks can hurt you. 24 minutes ago, the Suns trailed by 7 points. 24 minutes later, they trailed by 51.
Lake.
Yeah, they're devastating.
No one on the mark, runs away. Gunston got his hands to it. The spoil not ideal. Tough one on the ground. Sock it off. And she's so dangerous. Puopolo sliding to his knees. Made good contact. And they get another opportunity at it here. Ball about to be thrown in. Scary prospect now for the Suns. Hale from behind. We've got a whistle here.
Let it go. Ball was there, so let it go.
Oh, Charlie's right in the middle of that too.
There's no doubt he's been very aggressive in this second half. He got a rocket from Rocket, as we said, and throwing his weight around, but that one off the ball.
Becoming frustrated, isn't he?
Oh, for sure. Stratton to Duray. And the kick didn't have enough on it, and Hallahan marks.
They just have to reset here, though, Basil, and they've just got to wait for players to actually move into attacking positions, try and keep control of the ball here for a couple of minutes, which they've been incapable of doing in this third tour. Turn the ball over again. Now Hawthorn are going to go forward.
Well, they're struggling to handle the constant pressure of the Hawks. Hale got ridden into. All sit underneath.
Fine.
Shade underneath it all with Hale.
I mentioned Keegan Brooksby a moment ago, the 25-year-old from South Adelaide. He's the 38th Sun used this year, and we're at round 9.
He's a 6th debutant too for the Suns, so
they've been devastated by injury. The last time they used this many players at this stage of the season was back in 2012. So it just gives you an indication of how disruptive these injuries have been to their ability to be able to settle a side down.
And the quality of the injuries. Ablett, Day, Garlett, Malcheski playing the knee for today, O'Meara, Prestia, Swallow, Thompson, and Jack Martin out today with a hamstring inside the first minute.
You look at those injuries too. Ablett's indefinite. Garlett, who might be playing as a small forward or a midfielder, indefinite. O'Meara's out for the season. Prestia probably the season. Swallow indefinite.
I heard Rocket said on radio pre-game, Tim, Ablett looks like now being back after the bye. So that was just minutes before we came on air. If that transpires, it's good news.
Sure is. Hallahan to Riscatelli. Long ball. Better now. They're at their end of the ground. Lynch paddling cleverly. Puopolo, though, both ends. Hill, Duray. Hawks with the numbers around the ball. A bit of pressure applied, and Hallahan against his old team comes in, marks on his chest. Be a very difficult kick from here.
It's almost an impossible kick from here. I don't think you could possibly make the distance. So really the forwards, the key forwards for the Gold Coast Suns should be now thinking about making sure they get that front position for the dropping ball.
Hallahan 2 goals as a Hawk, 1 as a Gold Coast Sun. He gets a lot on to the ball, but then the wind goes to work and it drifted and drifted and out of bounds.
Just talking about Ablett too, it's a 5-goal swing. They average 16 points more with him and 13 points more against. So it's a 5-goal difference when he's in the side.
You'd love that fact when you go to negotiate your contract. Last 9 goals of the game to Hawthorn. The Suns 2 in the first term, 2 in the second. They haven't looked like it in the third.
Just on the Ablett factor too, Tim. 15 games before the tackle that brought him down. 15 games after. Before the tackle, scores from stoppages. They were third, the Gold Coast Suns, with him in the team. Speaking of which, Riscatelli, is this a score from stoppage? Not quite. Third, they were ranked in the competition with Ablett in the team. 16th without him.
And it really shows guys like Prestia, even though he's out not playing today, they've really stood up in that clearance area, because they are the best in the competition, the Gold Coast, around the clearances. But it's that uncontested footy and those line-breaking moves that Gary Ablett makes is what they're really missing.
Yeah, it's what he creates for sure. Great kick.
Well, that's perfect to Charlie Dixon. Lynch saw him. He hasn't seen a lot of the football, Charlie Dixon, this afternoon, but he's got an opportunity to kick his first after a really good month of football. 4 last week, 1 the week prior against the West Coast, 3 and 6 and 2 the weeks prior to that. So 16-7 coming into the year from his 5 games, averaging more than 3 a game. This to break a run of 9 from Hawthorn. But it's coming back. It's come all the way, left to right and back again. Major to Charlie. The ball in the air is doing a remarkable amount.
Once it got elevation and the wind really took hold, I mean, he actually judged that ball beautifully, didn't he? He knew exactly what he was doing. Aimed it right out to the left. It looked like it was going to go through on that side of the post, but once the wind caught it, it just brought it back savagely.
Terry Alderman and Damien Fleming would be happy with the movement in the air at the moment.
There's a bit of Wassam Akram about that. Well, he hasn't had the busiest afternoon. In fact, he didn't get a stat in the first half. But look, to his credit, he's fought his way back into this game in this third term. Been particularly aggressive around the ball.
He's really had a go, no doubt. Hallahan trying to get it moving forward again. Hodge collected him and then got the football and sends it inside 50 at the other end. Stanley, he was waiting for it. Roughhead was not. Roughhead runs and collects the football, then inside. Isaac Smith just couldn't read it off hands. And Kolodashny, that's, I was going to suggest good cooperation. I thought he was going to lend his hand out to pick up Isaac. He just wanted the footy. And Isaac didn't give it back.
I like this kid, though. I think he's going to be an excellent player for a long time. Kolodashny.
His twin debuts tomorrow for the Cats. Jake against the Eagles. So late to Frawley. 2 minutes to play. 55 minutes between the Suns' goals. Lynch, his second in the second term, and Dixon's first of the afternoon. Nichols front spot. Well, out the back, Burgoyne just notched this in. No! He rarely does anything other than use the ball perfectly. Probably had a stride or two more than he thought, and the commentators mock. Heavily slapped down on Sean Burgoyne.
They're just so hard to defend in the forward line, the Hawks. And today they've had 9 individual goal kickers, so you can stop 1 or 2. Ruffy hasn't kicked any, and then everyone else can jump up. So they're tough to defend in the air, but also on the ground, like we saw with Burgoyne.
Kolodashny again, out to Miller. And now Boston close to the line, and Boston out of bounds on the full. Miller's an impressive young man, Tuke Miller. 29th pick in the draft last year, captain of Vic Metro and the Calder Cannons.
Just looking at those disposals this quarter alone, 116 to 60, just in this quarter alone. So Hawthorn have just monopolised the ball. They've had everything being played on their terms.
Massive discrepancy. Duray back to Litherland.
72% efficiency in a breeze that is as strong as you'll see almost at any stage this year, in an afternoon that's been raining for the majority of it on a wet ground.
Suckling 21 disposals now too. Of course, out of the team, back in the team, the late reprieve. Litherland is a thumping kick. Gunston couldn't quite control it on the half volley. Here's Miller again. He gave the ball away to Segler. Gibson's handball was touched. An important touch in there, and Lonergan through the middle and finds Matera. Who started this game well. Started actually as a sub. That's terrible, though. He's given the ball straight back to Hill. Unfortunately, a little touch in there has prevented it going inside 50 cleanly. Kolodashny, well done. Lemons on the end of it. He got it from Sard, and then the kick to the middle of the ground. It was missed by McKenzie. So Mitchell out to Duray with 20 seconds left on the clock. Burgoyne, Gibson, There's time enough for a Hawthorn goal. Thump down in the roughy direction. 2 to beat, and he nearly did. May from the side, Shade in front. Stanley's kick. Too much on it. Out of bounds on the full. So the last play of the third quarter will most likely be a shot on goal. No, a pass. And Gibson, the siren, might fool him. Well, the clock had gone off. Didn't matter in the end. No shot on goal. So Hawthorn's lead 46 points. They had it by 14 at the half. 5 points at quarter time. They're well on top now. A quarter to play.
Time as well, guys. The Hawks have activated their subs. So Cyril has got the red vest. He's been subbed out of the game. Exciting quarter now for young Howe. Comes on for his first game for Hawthorn.
Nothing wrong with Cyril Welshie. Just a quarter off.
I think so, Hammer. I think he looked fine. He a little bit surprised, I suppose, when the red vest come up to him. So I think just more precaution. Obviously did that hamstring injury down here last year, so just more precaution, I think.
And only just made it back for the grand final. That's right. Thanks, Welshie. Thanks for the update. Miller's kick came forward, Mitchell, and it ended up with Hodge. That was clever work. And here is the young man, Daniel Howe, on debut, getting his first touch, although not a disposal now. A grubber kick inside 50 towards Matera. It came in from Stanley. The ball then worked to the back of the pack and Litherland. Here's Gibson on defensive 50. High ball, May in from the side. Harbrow was there also contesting, and the ball over the line again.
Just want to go back to this. This is Sam Mitchell. This is after the centre bounce. This is how hard he works to get back defensively, just to create or provide that extra player back there. Picks up the ball, gives a handball out. I mean, that's why he's become, you know, one of the best midfielders in the game, because of his work rate as much as anything.
And doing it all with a plugged nostril at the moment.
Well, he just works so hard at all parts of the ground. He gets back, he goes forward. He's that support player. If he needs to tackle, he tackles. You know, he's up to 33 possessions, and we've only just begun the third term.
Tim, I also found he's so good on both sides of his body, left or right. When I used to play on him, you never knew where to stand and block his space, because he's so damaging on both sides of his body.
We spoke to him not long ago as to which he is, left or right, and he honestly is confusing himself these days. He's beautifully balanced, isn't he? So Shields high up and under, and a long wait for Adam Sard. Bruce was there, knocked it on. Hartung with speed. Here's a chance for Suckling. Both left it behind. Shields might finish. Well, the handball to Hartung was low to space. The fumble was on, and suddenly Shade got involved. Still a chance for the Hawks to press forward. McKenzie taken without the ball. Umpire let all of that run.
Just wondering now, Miller, whether or not he's actually running with Mitchell. I think maybe Rodney Eade said, OK, you're a young player. I need to teach you what work rate's required at this level. Go and run with this bloke for a while and just see how you match up.
Harbrow's kick. Ricochets back to Hallahan. Puopolo, good tackle. Umpire watching. Umpire prepared to give him the benefit of the doubt.
That's his 12th tackle, Puopolo. Fantastic. He's just really put that pressure on in the forward line, and also Shields has had the 12 tackles as well. So perfect conditions for the smaller type players who've kept the pressure on.
Umpire Hay tosses the ball up again, and Shields off the ground behind.
Just going back to Sammy Mitchell, Tim, you talk about the inexact science of the draft. He was overlooked and not prepared to be denied, and works so hard, and then finally gets given a chance and proves everyone wrong.
Well, he's just a ball magnet.
Phenomenal player to be a premiership captain after having such a slow start, not to lose confidence. Well, fumbling ball now. A little chance here for Russell to dance and weave. Stanley looping handball. Sard under pressure. Harbrow, Matera. Smith continues to charge. Lonigan. Puopolo, desperate for football as always. So it was a dominant third term. They came in with a 14-point lead after a late goal to Gunston, got them that 14-point, and ended the third term leading by 46. It's 47 now as the Suns find themselves hard up against the ropes. Riscatelli, long ball, Dixon, maybe called out of it. It was always going to be too hard for him. Litherland, he kept his feet as Dixon lost his, and Litherland will be keen to make every post a winner. Limited opportunities in this Hawthorn outfit. Well done. Turns Lynch inside out and brings it inboard. Segler, wider ball, collision coming. Well done, May. Read it in the flight. Happy just to wait for the settling ball. And now Lynch again. Well, late arrived. Lynch had to wait a long time. Puopolo, we think, is okay. You see the ankle underneath all of that.
Yeah, it gets caught under the body there, guys. He limped off to the bench, so I'm keeping my eyes open. Hopefully it's nothing too bad. It's just in the hands of the physio at the moment.
Holding the ball, no genuine attempt.
So Poppy just explaining what went Poppy in the leg. Let's hope it is all right. It's his foot that's being worked on, so fingers crossed that's okay. Hodge, a low one. The mark, well, gee, it was a slow whistle. Gibson. And here is Daniel Howe. His first disposal in senior football. He just pops it over the top, the 19-year-old from Xavier College. Well done, young man. Good to get the footy in the hands. Down the line then. Shields, Bruce, low and flat. Segler, almost a good pick-up. That was a good pick-up from Sard and then taken high by Segler.
Jonathan, I'm round his neck.
What can they create now, the Gold Coast Suns, at this part of the ground? Like, who's working hard to try and create a target? Are they opening up the fat side of the ground? There's nothing for him to go out too wide here.
They keep getting pushed back, the Suns, and then Kolajasny desperately, but how often is Sam Mitchell in the right spot during a football match? Mitchell, look at the weighted ball to Hale. If you're a forward and Sam Mitchell has the ball in his hands, you just think it's Christmas.
Well, you're licking your chops when it looks like he's going to get the ball. But I was really interested then to see what the Gold Coast were going to do at that part of the ground. But nobody was working nearly hard enough to try and create something. You see Miller there on Sam Mitchell. He has gone to Sam Mitchell. Rocket Eats just trying to teach him what's required of a midfielder in AFL and how hard you need to work. And it's going to be a great lesson for that young man this final quarter of footy.
Hale got the first goal of the match. He got one late in the third, and you see again the Breeze doing plenty of work, but not enough to disturb the ball. 3 for David Hale.
I mean, the two sides to that are they don't work hard enough when they have control of the ball, and then when they look like turning the ball off, they're not quick enough in transition then to cover the players that are free in the forward line. So, you know, they're either physically tired or they're just mentally tired, and they're not prepared to do it.
And when you watch a tape of Fremantle, you see what the level is now at this standard.
That transition, that's where it's at in terms of players switching from attack to defence.
Sam Mitchell, such a creator. He's up to 34 disposals. The former skipper of this Hawthorn lineup. His best against the Gold Coast Suns is 38 disposals back in round 13, 2011. And you'll suspect that he's going to give that a fair nudge here. So 34 disposals, his best against the Suns, 38. And a tackle here again. Fighting just as hard now as he was when they bounced the ball to start the game. Ball grubbered towards the 50. It was well done by Riscatelli, who got it moving. Boston slipping over, tackled, holding the ball. So a second possession for Howe. Gives it to Isaac Smith. Down the line, it's a thumping kick. Hale worked his way in front. Harbrow, well done. Handball was interesting. Tom Nichols, who hasn't stopped trying, he just wants to get the ball over the line, and eventually he did. Players right in front of you, Welshie, they've worked hard today.
Oh, they have, Baz, and I think Howe, for his first game, must have put his hand out for about 100 tickets, because he's had a couple of touches and there's a section of the crowd that goes absolutely berserk. So he's certainly got support here, the young guy, in his first game.
As he should have. His first steps in an AFL career, which we hope is a long one, starts this afternoon. The skipper, he's a long way down his AFL road, and well, he continues to do things like that. Spot forwards, put it to the right side for them, and give the Hawks every opportunity.
That was a beautiful kick then by Hodge. He actually checked the first kick, which was a shorter kick. It was going to be more 50-50. He then said, OK, I'm going to look a bit further downfield, and then just place that ball beautifully for Bruce.
So Luke Bruce, who has become a massive part of this operation, he could not have read the Breeze any better. starts to the left, ends up in the middle. Another to the Hawks.
Like a Pakistani quick, Tim, making the old ball swing. That was beautiful. They have read it well.
They've got, you know, they got, and that is, it's not going to be a surprise to anyone, but they've got that great top end talent, haven't they, Hawthorn? If you look at champion data, they've got more elite players in their team than any other side in the competition. And they're just a very difficult side to contain for 4 quarters of footy. Two of their best there in the centre there, just having a chat, Hodge and Mitchell.
To your point, Tim, in regard to elite, they had Burgoyne, Roughead, Birchall, Gibson, Rioli, Bruce, Gunston and Suckling in the top 10% of their positions last year.
Hallahan, that was interesting. Ricocheted back and went very high in the air. Matera, who started so well after starting as the sub. He was on the ground inside 3 minutes. Lynch just pushed off the ball by Lake. Well done by Lynch. He came back again hard. Howe crossed to Duray, and that off the side of the boot and out of bounds on the full. So as we know, Tim, they are kickable from here.
Well, this is the easy spot to kick it from. Now, just so I get this right, does he have to try and hang it out to the right again?
That's
and it draws back a little?
So from what we're looking at now, he's kind of aiming for the Hawthorn scoreboard, is Russell. He does that. He brings it back. It just didn't have enough on it in the end, and Gibson with a good mark in the square.
Better treat it as a dogleg left.
Right. Gotcha.
Well, the Hawks have been so impressive since half-time. 9 goals, 5 without reply at one stage as Gunston finds himself just meandering through half-back. Feeds Smith, who just loves to bound for the Hawks. Roughead, not quite. Might get a second opportunity. Burgoyne happy to soccer it. Missed it, though. May gets wrapped up by a couple. I was thinking about Puopolo. He's having his foot looked at, as Welshie was telling us. I was wondering, he's taken his game to a new level. 12 tackles today, which is a PB for him. I think he'd almost rather have 12 tackles than mark of the year.
Hold the ball. Go through.
He'd rather have a fight than a feed, huh?
What a tackle by Roughead. Harbrow, he knew, threw the head back. Howe, bad luck, just bounced off the chest. And now Shields to set them up again. Not the best work by Frawley. Came back to him off Bennell from outside 50. The defender with a thumping kick long. Hodge in the square. Almost the mark. Suckling drifting by. Smith, that was a clever take, sliding on the knees. He had the hand cocked, ready to handball it out, and then it just bobbled away from him. And it'll be thrown up inside 50 again.
Puopolo, he's been off now for 8 minutes on the bench. You can see him there. He's got the top of the foot iced up, and they go and put the sock back over the top. I don't know how well that will go, so it'll be a bit tough kicking the footy with a block of ice on your foot, but we'll see how he goes. He's had a good game. He could be up for anything.
Yeah, I think he's done for the day now.
Yeah, I think so. Reports just in, Welshie, there is no glad wrap left in Launceston.
So it's disappointing because he is playing a role that's so crucial, and as we saw with Mitch Duncan, the innocuous sometimes can transpire to be much more serious than on first glance.
Hey, Wooshie, you've probably got a better idea than me. Are the more serious ankle injuries the ones on the inside or on the outside of the foot?
I think they're more so on the outside, your lateral ligaments. So the medial heal pretty quickly and they're easy to repair. I think it's the lateral ones because that's more your pivotal when you're pushing off from a contest and you're trying to cut, on the field. They're the ones that take a lot longer, and that's one of the ones that I struggled with coming back from injury.
Holding
That sounds right.
Isaac Smith.
Good stuff from Dr. Welsh. So Smith then prepared to concede ground. Howe, he's looked likely, hasn't he? 4 matches for Vic Country last year.
Good size.
Back to Lake in the square. Now Matthew Suckling. Inside defensive 50. Duray stretches for it. Can he pop it over the top? Well, no one to really pop it over the top too. So Frawley's the man. It wasn't a great kick. He had 3 to beat and did brilliantly. Gave it to Suckling, and now they might be on here. Shields conceding some ground back to Jure. He'll give him another go at it to set up. And Howe, who continues to run hard. That's 5 disposals in this term since he's been on the ground. Isaac Smith. Hawthorn's lead is 59 points. Their average winning margin against the Gold Coast Suns, 54 points. So they're right around that mark. And Smith to send it long inside 50 again. Hale working his way to the front. Well done, Shade.
Young Sexton's going to be sore for the Gold Coast after the game, I'm sure. He's been off a number of times today and had a lot of work done on his groins. When he runs, it looks like he has, people run when they've got osteitis pubis. He's got taping right up in the groins and had a lot of work on there today, so he'll definitely be sore after the game.
Smith, Mitchell, again with such confidence, might get turned over. Lemons, well done, quickly. Tuchmuller. Well, Gibson was almost outsmarted, and then Miller outsmarted himself, but the Suns retain control for now. Well, Hallahan's got a job to do. Did well. Back inside, Riscatelli gets around Shields. Now, this is a tricky one. Brown and gold at the fall of the ball. And the debutant, Daniel Howe, from Rennie to Xavier College to Murray, under 18s, and now to the big stage.
Good size too. He's 191 centimetres tall, rangy sort of a kid. Here he goes again.
Like I said earlier, Jordan Lewis was saying, think of Ben Stratton, but he has the motor in time to play through the middle. So if that is an accurate description, plenty to be excited about. Look at this, the ease of movement to Bruce. Ruffy's on the end of this. Well, no, called out of it by Shields.
It was like a training drill from one end of the ground to the other. There's no pressure on them at all now, Hawthorn.
Mitchell involved in all of that. 37th touch of the afternoon. His number's extraordinary here at Aurora. His 36th time he's played here. The 16th time he's had 30 plus. His numbers, no limitations. Hawthorn by 59. Average winning margin so far this year, 74. Well, Breeze didn't bring it back as it has on a number of occasions this afternoon. So right now, an even 10 goals.
And every second week, Hawthorn have had a 60-point plus win too. It looks like it's heading in that direction again.
Yeah, the odd ones, Tim, they win by 60 points plus. The even ones, they lose. St Kilda sitting back and getting very excited about next week. Lonergan dished the ball across to Lemons. Dixon, who continues to try hard. Lake had him in a tackle and a free kick.
There's a lot of teaching still to be done by Rodney Eaton, his coaching staff, in terms of players when they've got control of the ball. Just far too many of them are happy just to put it on their boot and just get rid of it.
So Keegan Brooksby, a chance to kick his first goal.
Just watch the replay here. Just that little bit of a nudge into the contest.
This will be his 7th disposal on debut. Started playing footy around the age of 16. He was a latecomer. And his first kick in senior football could be a goal. It is. He's in.
So not only first kick, first goal, but first Keegan in the history of VFL, AFL to kick a goal. Never been one before.
There's never been a Keegan in the game before.
Never. It's sort of stuff you get from Swamp, who stays up late at night at Colac and drifts through the almanacs.
In the cave. Hey, good to see, though, all the Gold Coast Suns players and just get across to him.
Yep.
Acknowledge the fact that that's his first goal in AFL footy. Bit of life in him.
Well, no easy games, but some enormous challenges before the bye. And we're told Gary Ablett will join the Suns for the Carlton game as a worst-case scenario. That was rocketed earlier today. Hodge, Segler, a little dance and shimmy. Still Hawthorn have got run and numbers and confidence. This time it's Hartung. Long ball, Gunston. Well done, May. Just needs to mop up, keep a calm head. Almost had his head taken off. Boston, all Hawks again. Look at this, Stratton can choose one of 3. Back it comes. Short ball, well done. Well, the debutante's got a lot of the football in his brief time out there. Quickly it comes to Matera. Looping ball to Miller, and this is where things get just a little bit hard because the Hawks stream back and the Suns have got no one ahead. Wide ball is on. Lemons, Litherland. Well done, Litherland.
I think Howe would be thinking right now, how easy is this AFL footy? I've only been on for 2 minutes and I've got 8 touches already.
Why does everyone go on and on about how tough it is?
I had 5 marks, 8 touches. Getting a big cheer from the crowd every time I touch the ball.
Segler double team that time. Brooksby came in from the side. Riscatelli's kick up the line. Well done by Miller. He got the ball quickly. Dixon, the big fly in the middle of the pack. Fighting hard. Lonergan, bottom of that pack. Burgoyne's got him. Unlucky holding the ball. Still the natural instinct, isn't it? If the ball's in front of you and you're on the ground to try and pull it in, it's almost forgivable in that situation. So Burgoyne, the dangerous one, across to Hawthorn. Lynch wanted to go to him, and Hawthorn very easily just steps around, shields, a little bobble in the hands, but he marks on half back. It's impressive to watch now, Hawthorn. They still want to take the game on.
This will be his 30th touch this afternoon, so he's just worked his way nicely into the game.
10th time that he's had 30 disposals or more on this ground. Suckling gets it across to Stratton. Long one down inside 50. Here's Hill. He's got all the speed. He keeps the ball alive by foot. Isaac Smith, it just rolled away from him. Well done, May. Terrific tackle, rough head. Ball jarred loose just as well for May.
Well, Smith, we know he's got great run, great leap too on that occasion. Hallahan Harbrow to Boston, who's seen a lot of time from the sidelines as a son. His body has let him down. Horrific ankle wiped him out in 2014, and well, it's been disappointing. And speaking of ankles, this is where Paul Puopolo, right ankle, you see it, got caught underneath and pushed forward. So as Welsh has updated us all, he is heavily strapped with ice. And it's a bit of a waiting game now. Rioli has the sub vest on. Thinking about Rioli out of the game, personally, it's a less exciting game when Rioli isn't on. Imagine what it's like when the 25-year-old finally retires. It's going to be a disappointment. He is such a joy to watch.
Segler and Tommy Nichols. It's been a good battle between those two. It comes back to Segler. Hill. Howe. What's that, 9 now? Segler. Back to Hill again. He tries to keep the ball in. It was a clever kick, and that's a terrific Mark Stanley.
We see May there. You can't underestimate his game and his importance to this Gold Coast team. Last time Ruffy kicked 7 goals. Today he's kept him to just 1 behind. So he's a pivotal player who they've missed in the last 3 weeks, and one that they can build a young defence around. He's just a star that gets unsung for his efforts.
Adam Saad, 3 bounces when 1 would have done. Then a 4th one to get around Hale. He drives the ball towards Matera on the outer side. Litherland, the tallest man in the contest. He's a thumping kick. I wonder about it from there. He just pulls it back to a more attacking position. Ruffy did well. Got a hand on it, but it falls at the back to May, and then Lonergan. And now Bennell waiting for the football. Hill closing him down. They've got some runners on, and Lynch. He can go to Nichols if he wants. He does by hand now. Inside to Russell, who gets rid of it quickly. Didn't think that through too well. Now Lake. Well done. Frawley. Stratton. Beautifully done to Hill.
Tim, when the run gets so prominent and the Hawks have so much space, is it because the Suns are out of gas, tired bodies?
Yeah, they're just not working hard enough.
You don't think it's a fitness thing? They're trying but don't have the...
Well, they may not have they've got some players out there that Rodney probably wouldn't have thought he would have had to have played this year.
Why so worried, Coach?
Well, because the great coaches, they worry about everything.
31 disposals, incidentally, home for Bradley Hill. That's a career high this afternoon.
So, Tim, they kept up for a while, the Suns, and this Hawthorn pressure doesn't go away, so they've succumbed. But you think it is a lack of intensity since half-time, or bodies getting tired, plus perhaps?
A bit of both, and then you lose confidence in your own ability. Then you start to play in a more reserved sort of a way. And all those things contribute to a performance like we've seen from them in the second half.
Well, again, the Suns have got opportunities, but fumbles don't really work so well against the Hawks. Angus Litherland.
Look at this. They'll organise themselves again, the Hawks.
Suckling Lake Stratton. Howe, if you like. Teenager comes in, has more time than he'll have a lot through his career. Frawley. A little mistake creeps in, and suddenly a chance. Well, last man back.
And another kick in hope, Hammer.
10 disposals for Howe in this quarter, his only quarter of football. Hard-tongue to Hill again, disposal number 32, keeps racking them up. Isaac Smith, here come the Hawks. Hard-tongue, over-possessing just a little bit. It comes back to Isaac Smith. Now the release for Roughhead. Well done, May. Got the hand up, kept going, Soccer's off the deck. Let's hope that's not deliberate. It is. Bad luck.
Look, I think in all of this, one of the positives for Rodney Eade and the Gold Coast Suns is they're actually getting games into players that they thought they may not, even though they're not ready. Long term, it is going to benefit their development.
Howe didn't mind it was deliberate, home. He got another one. 11 disposals in his only quarter of senior football.
And Howe and the Howe family, the only people around Australia happy to see Cyril on the bench in the red vest. But Daniel Howe, well done. Welcome to the AFL. Hill with that speed. Well, sliding, terrific. Well done. Clean hands, had to be good. Hard to take when you hit the ground and keep your composure and the grip on the football. He did all of that. Well, Hill continues to have the run, and again that second man comes in, helps the man with the ball from the Hawks' point of view. Miller, the look away, worked out well. Sard, he continues to run. He is a running man, and again, a bouncing ball. Back it comes. Bennell. Again, the options become limited. Riscatelli on tired legs in his 12th year. Late in the game. Howe dived. Couldn't get hold of Riscatelli. Driving ball. Well done, Charlie Dixon. Small mercies, but something late perhaps for the Suns. May well be the last kick of the afternoon, but this fortress hasn't given too many visitors too much joy. This is the Stanley hit, Tim.
Yep. And is that Lonergan, is it?
That's Lonergan out the back hitting.
Yeah. Well, the match review panel will have a look at that for sure.
Sort of symbolic of the Suns and Charlie Dixon's afternoon, but 20 of the last 21 here at Aurora and 13 straight. The Hawks by 53.